Right then, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about the use of applications or apps on your phone or tablet device and using them within tabletop games. Should we have apps within board games? Now, let's face it, we've all seen people sat there at the table playing games and they're already picking up their phone and reading something when it's not their go. So as soon as they lose a little bit of that engagement, the device is out and they're looking at the latest post on whatever social media they've got, or they're doing emails, etc. So you've already lost the engagement there. So phones have in my personal opinion, a negative effect on people when they're playing games at the table. Whereas years ago, when they didn't exist, people would be playing the game, they would be socializing and talking together, and there'll be engagement throughout the entire course of the game. If it's not your turn, you're talking with the people next to you. So it's a really good social activity. Whereas at modern day, with phones and the technology at your fingertips, people can get easily distracted, pick up a device and start playing away on it without any social interaction when it's not their go. So it's not necessarily a good thing for the atmosphere, the environment that you're in. And I can understand why some people out there probably do ban phones at the table when they're playing games. We don't personally, but we make sure that everybody is engaged in it as much as possible. So then when you introduce the forced use of using a device of some sort, whether it be a phone or a tablet or laptop, etc., by incorporating an actual application into the board game itself, is that a good thing? Should we do that? Or is that just adding to the problem, adding to the issue of engagement and keeping people interested in what you're playing and the activity itself? And that's what I'm going to talk to you today about, because I think it's an important topic, and I know people have discussed this in the past, and it's been a bit of a controversial one. People don't like it, people do. You get opposite ends of the spectrum with this topic. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, and we'll just talk about this as a general chit-chat, and I hope you enjoy this. So let's go back to my first experience of an app in a board game. So prior to that experience, I always viewed applications using whatever it is, a phone, etc., within your board game as more of a distraction. And I had obviously not experienced that at that point. So I always had a negative viewpoint towards it, and I tended to avoid games that incorporated that into its design, because I just thought, how many times when I was younger I got told off for pulling my phone out? And how many times I have to tell my parents the same thing nowadays, put your phone away, we'll play a game. And then actually having a game run off of an app or use an app in tandem surely feels like it's just exacerbating the problem to me, or that's how it felt at that time before I'd experienced it. Luckily, I came across a good game that incorporated an app within it, and that was the one I used for this thumbnail, which was my first experience, which was XCOM, the board game. Now, I was a massive fan of XCOM, the video game. I absolutely loved it. And when I found out Fantasy Flight was making an XCOM board game, so I could play this setting, this IP with my family who'd never experienced it, I was excited. And I was interested to see how they brought that to the tabletop. I think I played it solo first, then I played it with a group, and I was very impressed. Now, XCOM is not an easy game, an easy board game. Absolutely not. It's a brutal game. You need to be smart about your decisions, where you move your pieces, and where you commit your money and finances and projects, etc. So it's a very strategic and tactical game. It's not a welcoming game, but it is an exceptional game with its use of that integrated technology into it, where you have the application that's driving the game forward, that's giving you those randomized events and letting you know what's happening and putting you up against various obstacles. XCOM, the board game, has an amazing application, and it was a great experience. It not only opened my eyes to the potential of applications within this space, but it just showed me what they are capable of, what you could use them to do to enhance the games, enhance people's interest in it. And it was so well designed. It would bring up your crisis, it would bring up your rules for the round. You'd be using it, but nobody would be distracted by it. Nobody sat there playing on the application. There's nothing to physically do on it apart from report what the app tells you, what it notifies you is happening as it drives the game forwards. So nobody's sat there playing a little mini game on the app. It's used in tandem with the game. And that is how I personally think these applications should be used. It was great. It opened up a new world to me, and I was not ready for it. So then I was ready to start dipping my toes into this application space more. And that is when I came across one of the biggest names, and it's still a very big name, and that is Mansions of Madness. Now, I'd never played the previous editions. I believe it's the first edition I'd never played. I got the one that integrated the app, the second edition, I believe. And I wasn't ready for just how good that one was as well. I genuinely had low expectations for any game incorporating technology because I felt it was just a distraction. But boy, I was wrong. Mansions of Madness app is exceptional. It drives the game forward. You get a narrator which narrates your story at the start. It's a shame there's not more narration throughout the game because it's so well done. But you get your narration at the start and then you're off. You're exploring. And the application shows you the map of the board as you go. And you will essentially tell it what's going on in the physical board game. You will tell it when you attack a monster and do damage and how much you do. You interact with characters, you interact with the monsters, you interact with objects and doors as you explore and find things and investigate scenarios. Maybe you're negotiating or you're searching for a clue. As you interact with objects and characters and the story unfolds around you as you reach checkpoints in it, it's going to keep giving you text, it's going to keep giving you passages to read as the story unfolds. This is another exceptional app integration, a use of that technology within a tabletop board game. And these were just the first two that I got to play and experience that integrated this technology. Now, applications were not the original forms of tech brought into board games. If you go back long enough, you go to the old school board games where you had a VHS and you used to put it into the cassette player and you play it, and normally it would be something like a timed game where something would happen on screen, he'd tell you, and then it would interact with the board. So tech being brought into the tabletop format is not a new concept. It's been around for a long time. I remember an old school Star Trek game where you would put the cassette in, you played it, and he's talking while you're playing the game. And there were a few that we had at that time. Atmosphere, I think, was one of the most popular. But how it's moved on to what it is now, where it is fully integrated into the game in all different aspects. Maybe it's helping you with the exploration. Maybe it's showing you a crime scene that you're investigating. Maybe it's presenting all the information you need in a clear and concise document that you can search through. Whatever the purpose of the application is, they're a lot more integrated and a lot more detailed now. And it is really showing what the combination of technology can do with a tabletop game. So, for example, like Warhammer 40,000 and the tabletop games from Games Workshop, they have their own apps which have all the information on it. So instead of you having all your paperwork, all your cards, all your rule books, you can just use your app. It's got everything on there. Now, I personally don't play enough to warrant that. But if you're into it, you can have the app, you can pay for it, and there you go. You've got all the information to hand. That is a tool that people could only have dreamed of years ago. And it's showing how the gaming space can move forward, can improve by incorporating this next layer, this technology layer. And I've had quite a few app board games now. I have Chronicles of Crime in my collection, which didn't give me the best initial experiences, but it's grown on me over time. Especially when you were in the crime scene looking around, it was a horrendous experience. But when I realised I was doing something wrong in the settings where I was choosing it with glasses and I didn't have the glasses, it made sense, and I was getting used to it, and I like it. I enjoy it a lot now as you're investigating crimes and solving them. Played Imperial Assault and Descent with the apps, and there's so many now. I'm not particularly diving on buying loads of app board games, I'll be honest there. It is not something I look for. But if the game impresses me enough, I will definitely consider it now. Whereas years ago, my initial opinion was very skeptical because I felt it was counter to what I'd been taught. Put your phone away while we're playing the game. We're talking and having, a social gathering. Put your phone away. But they have got to the point where it's supplementary. It's an add-on to the game. Now, can they still be a distraction? Can they still be a problem? Absolutely yes. If you have someone who's going to be staring at the app the entire time, maybe they're not going to be as engrossed in the game. It depends on your group, your situation, whether app board games are going to work. You've got to make that kind of judgment or decision. But again, also my experience is also somewhat limited, so I'm not going to be able to advise you on the entire app-driven tabletop gaming space today. I can just give you my experiences from the small selection of games that I've played. But there is absolutely going to be bad games out there using apps. Absolutely. I played a game called Rising 5. It's essentially just the old school Mastermind. I was very unimpressed with it once I'd got it to the table and started playing it. And there was points where using that application was very tricky. It wasn't easy. And I wasn't as impressed with it because of that. So not always is it going to make your usability of the game also better, just because you've got that tech, that application in front of you. Sometimes it might just obscure or make the job harder of playing the game, so it can interfere with the game as well. It obviously depends on how well it's been designed and put together and implemented, essentially. But that's something to bear in mind, because that could also be a negative experience. So if you're someone who doesn't like apps, if you're someone who's worried about them not going right or not being able to use them correctly, you should probably kind of avoid these games and try to steer clear of them. Now, for the most part, applications have not been integrated into the board game space as a whole. Not every single tabletop game, miniatures game, etc. has a application that drives it or makes it work, which is a good thing. I don't think they belong in every single product that is made. There's not a need for that. Sometimes I just want to get a game out and play without the need to load up a piece of tech to play it. And this is going to lead on to an important thing that I'm going to say now, which is, what about the future of games using apps? Now, I know that there is a lot of potential out there. They can really go to town with these applications and make some amazing games. What if they make a sci-fi game where they pre-program all the planets in this galaxy, whatever the map is, however big, and pre-program all the encounters, and then they let you loose. They let you go. And you're clicking locations, choosing your route, interacting with the board game as you go, and you're encountering all different, civilizations or missions or encounters in space. And that's just an example. The sky's the limit with the tech. It's obviously limited by how much space it's going to occupy on whatever device. That's probably the biggest constraint that you'll face as a developer. You can use it in whatever context. You can use it as a library of information, as a reference. You can use it as a tutorial tool. You can use it as supplementary, adding extra things that they can do within the game, whether they're doing a little side puzzle at certain points. They load up the app and then away they go. Puzzle solved, back to the board game. Or it's all fully integrated. You're using it to interact with all the different things on the board and it tells you what happens. So there's loads of ways that this space can go. But one of my biggest concerns for the future of using them in the tabletop space is, at what point will they be impossible to get? At what point are they pulled from the application stores and you can't get those apps? Does that then make your board games that are integrated with those apps redundant and unusable? And that is a very important thing, I think, about the longevity of your games as well. Something you should absolutely consider. What about in 5 years, they delete the app entirely, your device is broken and now you can't get the app, and that board game that utilizes it, which is heavily reliant on it, you now can't get the software for it. So now you've got a board game that you can't play. I think it's important designers think about the longevity of their games as well. If you're heavily reliant on the application to the point where if they don't have it, they can't play it, is that a good design? For me, exactly that is the case with XCOM. Before I got a tablet, I was always worried. The only device I've got the XCOM application on is my phone. And if that breaks and they pull it from the market, my XCOM board game's useless to me. Obviously, I'd have to make house rules or something to fix it, but it would make the game unusable. So, when your games are heavily reliant on these applications, is it a good thing? I think they should consider that when they design the games, and I think it's something you should consider when you buy them. What does the app do? How important is it for the board game? Do you want to get a game that needs the app? And if you do, make sure you have copies of that software downloaded ready. So what about my thoughts? What do I think now that I've had a more varied experience of apps within the tabletop scene? Generally, I'm quite positive on them. I remember a lot of the controversy years ago when they were first becoming a thing, and they weren't very welcomed. A lot of people didn't like them. And there were some people that did, so it was kind of a 50-50 split. For me, it took me a while to get into them, but I quite enjoy using them. And I must preface this, from time to time. Do I want every single game to have a tech side to it? No. I don't want to be loading my phone up every single time I want to play a game on the table. Absolutely not. Do I think it's okay for every other game, Yeah, sure. I think it's great. You can use these applications to their greatest potential to add layers to the games, whether that be extra content or maybe it's the unfolding narrative as you explore the map like you get in Mansions of Madness. They are a great thing for the hobby, but they should be used sparingly. They shouldn't be incorporated into everything that's made because there is drawbacks to the advantages you get from it. But there's a lot of aspects to this topic. So I thought I'd just give you a little bit of a brief today and talk about it. As for what the future holds with application board games, I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm not sure how much they should take away from the actual tabletop experience because at the end of the day, you're there gathering everyone together to enjoy something together. So you don't want to take all of the tabletop elements and put them in the app. Otherwise, you may as well play a video game. So you've got to find that right balance. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out in the future, how they use this as a tool to add gameplay, to add to the experience you can have at the table without detracting, without distracting people there, and without reducing the engagement of your players. Because I think that's an important aspect too. I don't want people sat there bored or playing on their phone when they should be playing the game. The apps need to make sure that they're not taking people's engagement away too. You need to have a lot of thought about what your app's going to do, how you're going to utilize it when you essentially design these games. I think I'll probably do some more videos in the future talking about using apps within the tabletop space because it's a large topic. And I could talk to you especially about the ones that I like, the ones that have impressed me, like some of the ones I've mentioned today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please subscribe, hit the like, and become a member, of course, if you're interested. They are now open. And I'll see you all next time.